Hi, it's me. Over the last 3-4 weeks while I was gone doing human-like activities, a new trend has been popping up all over my feeds, which, at the least to me, smells manufactured entirely to make people feel bad for not working themselves to death. Let's read an article by the BBC on this topic, shall we? What is quiet quitting? Despite the name, it actually has nothing to do with quitting your job. It means doing only what your job demands and nothing more. Quit doing anything extra. You still show up for work, but stay strictly within the boundaries of your job requirements. So no more helping out with additional tasks or checking emails outside of working hours. The term quiet quitting has taken off recently after American TikToker Zed Leplin posted a video on it that went viral, saying work is not your life. Let's have a look at this video made by Zed Leplin. I hope you don't mind, but I think it's important in order to understand this current.
I recently learned about this term called quiet quitting, where you're not outright quitting your job, but you're quitting the idea of going above and beyond. You're still performing your duties, but you're no longer subscribing to the hustle culture mentality that work has to be your life. The reality is it's not, and your worth as a person is not defined by your labor.
Then the BBC article goes on to quote a few individuals that have confessed they will no longer be investing the extra effort in their day-to-day tasks. They will only be doing exclusively what's expected of them. But all of this is still work. It's literally work. Where's the quitting exactly? I mean, by these rules, I've been quitting all my life since the moment I hit the job market. Curious, I started digging to figure out where this quiet quitting trend came from, when it started. I started it by using DuckDuckGo, mainly because Google can't really be trusted with information accuracy sometimes. Call me a conspiracy nut if you want. And the earliest reference that I could find to quiet quitting, hi, it's me mid-editing, but after searching a bit more, I found more references to quiet quitting at some point during May 2021 by the looks of it. So the phenomenon is older than this year. However, it's important to note that it was only this year that it took the world by storm and all these articles started appearing about it. But it's by no means a new concept. It's just that it for some reason didn't become popular until employers demanded that workers start coming back to the office for work when it was proven that it was no longer necessary. Okay, that's it. Back to the video. Was a Reddit post from the 7th of March 2022 from a user named ShanBamBoom, who said that they learned of this trend again off of TikTok. In the post, they go on about how they hate their job because they've been taken advantage of them and so on and so forth. Again, nothing you've never heard of before. But the key difference between this post from early 2022 and the current articles we've been seeing all over the internet is that she says the following: unfortunately, we don't all have the luxury of up and leaving our jobs, but we can do what we need to keep it until we can jump ship. In my eyes, this is a very important point. To this user, as I'm sure to many others, quiet quitting doesn't mean just do your job without going the extra mile. It means doing the minimum required to keep your job while you find a new one to move to. Considering the timing of this post, as in early March 2022, I think it comes off of the back of the Great Resignation, where people left and right were just quitting their job because they were being forced to go back to the office, or they had a time of reflecting on how important their life is to them as opposed to going to work every day. But not everyone can afford to just quit, because there are bills to pay, there's food to eat, etc, etc. Not everyone has the comfortable savings account to lean on when they need to make such an important life choice. So I guess that's why quiet quitting started being a thing, where you don't do anything extraordinary in your current position, so you allow yourself enough time to find a new position and then move. In their post, ShanBamBoom said that they linked to the TikTok that inspired them in the comments, and I was able to find this link. However, the link did no longer work. Checking it on the Wayback Machine, it seems that it was active during those days of the post, and judging by how the link is structured, it's probably a shortener, so it's just a matter of figuring out what video this link used to go to, and wouldn't you know it, with a little bit of wizardry, here it is, the original TikTok post that inspired the Reddit thread.
Hate your job, but you don't want to quit? Try being lazy instead. That's right. A lot of people are just kicking back and taking it easy instead of quitting their jobs, and it's actually working. Over the last year specifically, there's been a seismic shift in how people view work and their relationship with the work arrangement. Of course, we're all familiar with the Great Resignation, where a lot of people are quitting their jobs. They're just getting fed up with the work world. They're not putting up with toxic environments anymore, long hours, poor pay. But those of us who grew up in hustle culture, where you have this constant and incessant need to work, and work becomes the main priority in your life in order to get ahead, I think that has taken a seismic shift over the last year to year and a half. Not advocating being lazy on the job, but there are a lot of people who are looking at this as an option instead of quitting, doing the minimum amount necessary in order to still maintain your position. Because let's face it, companies are very desperate right now to hire people, especially skilled people. And some people are saying, hey, the minimum amount is still better than no amount. This obviously wouldn't be a long-term strategy or a strategy for those of you who care about climbing up the corporate ladder. But for those of you who don't and you're feeling burned out, maybe dial it back a little bit, because you won't be the only one. People are establishing boundaries at work for the first time in really forever, and I think it's a really healthy and positive thing. The pendulum has swung too far to one way for too long, and it's finally good to see it swinging back the other way. There has to be a healthy balance there, but I don't think we found it yet. And I know there's probably a lot of people who are further along in their career who are looking at this and absolutely shaking their head. But the fact is that people just don't want to give that kind of energy to a corporation anymore. So are you somebody that has quiet quit on the job? Let me know in the comments below.
So yeah, I can't say I completely agree with everything I said in this video, mainly because I don't have a sympathetic heart or mind for companies, because they run a business and they should understand that the employees are also running a business of selling their skills to the company that needs them. I can't say I'm very sympathetic to the fact that, oh my god, people have decided to do only what's required of them only. You'll of course find full links to all the videos and the Reddit post and so on in the description if you want to do your own research. After that video, notice that TikTok does not have the best interface in the world. It doesn't say exactly when the video was uploaded. I basically did a bit more digging on DuckDuckGo and Google itself to try and figure out when this video was posted. The first time it seems to have been indexed by Google was on the 4th of March, 3 days before this Reddit post was made. So as far as my digging went, that seems to be where the trend started, right after the Great Resignation. But bearing all that in mind, there is a very stark contrast between this video and what Shanbam Boom was saying. Because they don't want to remain in that position, they want to move to a different one, which is clearly defining the quitting aspect of quiet quitting. But based on the current media articles and the video posted by Brian, they equate doing what you're hired to do as per your employment contract and nothing more to quitting. That is not representative at all of reality. Are you going to work each day? Yes. Are you doing the tasks that are required of you? Yes. Does your employee reap the benefits of your labor? Yes. Are you producing more value for the company than they are paying you in wages? Definitely. So you're not quitting. You've just decided to no longer let yourself be exploited for free, which is how it was always supposed to be. That's the point of capitalism. Maximum profit for the minimum of effort. But employers are now salty that workers have figured out they don't live in communism and that they should be paid for every single service they provide. Shock. Bruh, chill. What got you so triggered anyway? Because framing is extremely important. The simple idea of doing your job being equated with quiet quitting implies that doing the work that's required of you is somehow not enough. It's an act of defiance or a protest. This is not true. But you think employers are minding that? They are loving this framing, and the media as well. The number of articles popping up to cover this movement keeps increasing, and they prominently feature its name in their titles. However, the articles didn't start back in March 2022, when the first instances of this started occurring and became popular. No, they started very recently, about a month ago, reaching their peak in late August. If you look at Google Trends, you will see that quiet quitting rose sharply in the last month and now has declined down to a steady-ish state, but it's still very popular and very hardly pushed onto everyone to know of it. But why? Why would anyone want to popularize the fact that people have decided, oh, they're not gonna work anymore? Well, because they are working anymore. They're just not doing the extra for free. Framing it as quiet quitting serves two very important purposes. It makes individuals sympathetic to the cause think that they are protesting something. This is unfortunately not a protest. Going on strike is a protest, joining a union is a protest, quitting your job is a protest, and there has been plenty of that happening as well. But going to work and doing your job is not a protest. You're not quitting anything. And this is why I'm trying so hard to highlight the difference between what Shan Bamboo did or is doing and what the media is saying. They're just trying to find a new job, which is quitting. But the media are saying, oh, the people are just no longer doing the extra mile, so oh, everybody's quiet quitting. No. At the same time, all those who have benefited from this hustle culture see these articles and have it reinforced in their heads that it is normal or even a requirement for employees to sacrifice everything they have in the name of their jobs and their companies. Otherwise, they're just being lazy quitters. You shouldn't be doing more than what's expected of you. You never should have, unless there's a clearly defined payment or gain. Overtime work? Sure. What's the overtime pay? Emails outside of contracted hours? Sure. What's the on-call pay? These services should be paid for. They shouldn't be done for free out of employees' free time. Work hard and maybe you'll get ahead is a scam. Have you ever hired a plumber and said, once you're done with the sink, if you make me dinner, I might tip you? Or went to the mechanic for an oil change and said, if you top up my aircon fluid, I'll buy you a pizza? No, they're just doing their job, the one that you asked them to do. And if you think that they did something extraordinary, maybe you tip them as a show of gratitude, but they don't owe you to go the extra mile in any way. It's the same with employees. But here's the thing, it's not the workers' fault that it got to this. I mean, sure, hindsight is 20/20, but when you were told work hard to get ahead, since the moment you could smash two neurons together, getting it out of that mentality is difficult. So it's truly admirable that a whole generation of individuals have noticed this injustice and decided to rewrite the rulebook. Don't get me wrong, there are legit nice work environments out there that reward work accordingly, but they are very few and far between. I've worked as an employee for 8 different companies so far, and only one has treated me like an actual human. Oh, and none of these jobs were in retail or the food industry. The stories I've heard and read from these industries and their treatment of employees is, well, I'd say it's borderline slavery. Look, I'm gonna close with this. If I were to have my own way, and I'm sure I'm not going to, but if I were, I'd immediately stop referring to this as quiet quitting for the reasons outlined earlier, and just refer to it as contractually required work. If they want you to do more, change the contract to include more. And of course, bump the pay to reflect that more required. Otherwise, well, they can just hire other people to do those tasks. It's their call. Peace!